talking Monday Night Football here. A little late to the podium for your boy, but NFL till 2 a.m. I need a little time to recover.
I was texting you, and I got the good night text, so I knew you were going to bed. But I knew you were up watching, so I was just flabbergasted at the play calling down the goal line. And that game had a lot of shit. Just a lot of shit that happened.
Dude, it was terrible.
Yeah. I didn't say it was good. I just said there's a lot of shit.
I know. It's just, like for me, like, first thing, Seahawks defense as advertised. I think that's why a lot of people talk about them in the light that they've been talked about it. Now, the last 2 weeks, I don't know if Houston's got their shit together, if they ever will. And Jacksonville looks a lot more human than they did 3 weeks ago when they beat Kansas City at home. So, take it with a grain of salt, but I thought the Seattle defense was great. And they don't have Love or Witherspoon right now.
That's what I was curious on when I saw the inactives before last night's game, just seeing how good those guys are. But I think, we'll talk about the other game too, Chris, but like you spend a ton of time in these locker rooms at that level. And I just wonder what goes on in the rallying cry. Like I was talking to Scott today, like, on the inside, no one cares about who's not playing. Like, everybody on the outside is like, so-and-so's out, so-and-so's out. And, like, you get to Monday night, and that staff is just like, we could give a shit if they're not playing. Like, we've been prepping for 6 days. We know what we got to do in order to win this game. And a lot of it is sacrifice. I think that you got a lot of these guys that are getting asked to do things, whether it's being – maybe playing nickel and dime or not being in your first 4 down guys. How stout those down 3 guys are for Seattle. I think Murphy is just awesome. I just –
the way he plays double teams.
There's no way he's only 306, by the way.
There's no way he's only 306, but there's also no way he's only like 23 years old because it looks like he's been playing pro football for 10 years. The way he splits double teams, the near shoulder, near knee deal, you barely see anybody do anymore. Like when growing up, my dad used to be like, "Oh, it's like peeling bananas. You go near shoulder, near knee." You know how many times you showed me how to do what this fucking kid does?
Yeah,
out of bed. He's a technique player who's got flashy upside from an athleticism standpoint.
I go back to when he was at Texas. They went to Alabama and beat him like week 2 early in the year. And I remember watching him playing next to Sweat. And then those other guys were backing him up. And I'm like, this is some Texas. I haven't never seen this. I mean, physicality on the defensive line. Those guys they were serious. And that led them to going to the playoff for the first time because they had guys that you couldn't do anything up the front. On. And then now you fast forward to this, and you got DeMarcus Lawrence on the outside. Leonard Williams seems like he's getting better every year. So I just looked at Seattle having this idea of, hey, let's get some points. And they're not going to get much because of what we have on the defensive end, especially up front. But then Kupp throws the interception, and you're like, good Lord. The Mariners just lost. The building's in a tizzy. The Texans get a field goal, and you're like, it felt like it was 0-0 at halftime, and it's 14-6,
It's funny because as the game went on, and this speaks to how bad Houston is, but it felt like it was within reach for the entire game, and it was, and it came down to, as you mentioned, red zone trips, short yardage, and Seattle's got to get better offensively in some spots. Third down, they weren't very good. But we knew they'd struggle a little bit with that group. And I still think Bradford's a big problem in protection. If you're looking to buy at the deadline, I would look there. But I think the big story for me in this game, and not take away from Seattle because they, hey, like cards on the table, my NFC West pick, I'm hoping they win the NFC West. It would make me look smart. I ain't skipping over them because it's not a thing of beauty to see them play football, but it's the Texans' floor that shocks me. It's the Texans' offensive floor that shocks me, dude. I think they've completely wrecked CJ Stroud. They've reduced him to rubble, and there are things that he's not doing that are in his control. Certainly, I'm watching him last night, and this is probably the worst game I've seen him play as a pro. And he's a guy who I've been in his corner since his rookie year. And whatever the circumstances has led us to here, he looks like a shell of what I saw his rookie year. And the first possession, he took like a 13-yard sack. The receivers are young. They can't really separate. Noel did some nice things last night, but they're not on the same page at times. His accuracy is all over the place. When he does get a clean pocket, like a lot of times you see this offensive line protect, and it's like somebody drove an SUV through the middle of the pocket. But when it's not, he's kind of shell-shocked to the point where he takes a check down and he's got a clean pocket. So last year I felt like it was all Houston's fault. Now I feel like it's the quarterback and the way Houston set the table for him. They had no answer for early down pressure. The only answer they had was like a little dump down to Schultz in the flat. And he damn near threw a pick on that play later in the game. So McDonald was cooking, man. And, it doesn't take much to cook against that group. But as soon as Nico Collins went out, it was rough. I don't know how much guys actually, well, I do know, I used to play short yardage and goal line. That was something that in practice, when we get there, a lot of guys are kind of, well, I know where I'm supposed to be up front because it is so paint by numbers. It's like, hey, you've got this gap. But I think teams need to practice, and Houston being one of them, like 2 or 3x investing time in short yardage and goal line because they were terrible. They're terrible. And you look around the league, how many games come down to this every week? It seems like to me there should be a short yardage and goal line day in practice, not a period on Thursday or a period on Friday. You know what I'm saying?
We used to do special cat, it was 2-minute, goal line backed up, that whole thing. But like offense always had a juice to them. Like, hey, all right, we got the ball on the 3-yard line. Let's make sure we execute here. No quarterback. I texted you, no quarterback sneak. Not even, it looked like there wasn't even a thought of it. But
it's a half a yard.
Yeah, I know. Like you can't get any closer.
Second and an inch.
Yep.
6 inches. And let's fucking dump the ball into the flat, which we probably should have done on 3rd and 1 after we got blown up out in the field. Instead, we just bury the ball into the belly twice and get stuffed because the guys up front can't run block. And then you get down to the goal line, and Titus Howard somehow throws a no-hitter on play action against Tank Lawrence. And then the next one, was that the play where 39 Okada made the hero ball play down there? But it's like it's unthinkable that you can't get in the end zone.
No, it was bad. The idea of not having enough confidence to even try it, I think, goes back to your point about not practicing it. And, the idea of watching CJ, the system last year, but there's something with this system. Like I still get nervous when I see Jordan Love do the hop in the pocket, right? That's his habit he has. CJ has this 5-step drop and then immediately 2 more steps. And like it's almost I guess it's a bail, but it's just 2 giant steps that are killing your tackles who are already up against it and trying to protect you. But it opens up the alley so much for the ends, and he does it he does it so fast where it's Jaden Daniels did it a couple times in that Dallas game where you look skittish, and you could tell when your feet are doing that, you're not getting lined up for the throws and the accuracy with CJ, and it's the Houston offense is just so choppy. There's no consistency. There's no rhythm. And then you throw in the idea of Nico banging his head and he's done. And then it's like, all right, we got to really try and figure something out real quick here. And you're not going to do that in that atmosphere.
They're not a finesse team, and they're also not a physical team.
Correct.
There's no identity. Kaylee, I'm all about the background and everything, but right now it's just not working out. And honestly, the most disappointing part of the game was this. Well, there's a couple things in that game that really disappoint me. Azeez Al-Shair's penalty was terrible. That's just like a no-brainer. And you're going to be the guy they're looking at every time there's a play on the sideline. They go 15 yards there. The next play, you're down 14-0. That is not how you play the football game for the Houston Texans. We all know that. It's got to be in phase. But the thing that killed me, and again, coming down to the low red, is you're down in low red with the chance to, with 1 timeout left to go in the game, get the ball back after a score possibly and make this a game. It ends 27-19. They do score. They get down there 3 minutes to go. Woody Marks drops a ball. That should be a touchdown. That really costs them because the very next play, and I think the left tackle on this play just totally whiffs, just busts. And you've got a TFL basically, two guys meeting there for a vice tackle, no problem. The big deal there is it runs the clock down to almost 2 minutes. You snap the ball with 2:14, no problem, right? You're probably going to still get the 2-minute warning on defense in a moment, right? The play couldn't take 15 seconds. It basically fucking does because CJ's not seeing the damn field. It's a nice play. But then you're lining up to kick, and it's like nobody saw what Ben Johnson did.
Correct.
We just talked about this. It felt like yesterday, but it was after a primetime game. It wasn't even like a 1 p.m. game.
Oh, it was week 1, Monday night.
Kick the ball out of bounds, dude. Kick the ball out of bounds. You end up kicking. You eat the 2-minute warning. You got one less timeout. The game's effectively a prayer now, and they got the ball on the 30-something yard line. Fucking kick the ball out of bounds.
You saw the look on D'Amico's face, too. Like he knew that one they messed up.
What happened? Like, what happened?
I don't know. Lack of communication, not knowing the situation. That's not great.
They had to tell him to do that.
Yeah.
People's face was almost like shocked.
Correct.
Take it out of bounds.
So unsure of what just happened. It was just not a good look. And I mean, the guys in the booth are on it. Everybody in the stadium knows it. Because to your point, I was on the sidelines in week 1 when it happened. I'm like, you got to kick this out. And so, it's just, a snowball of deals. I don't feel much differently about both teams after watching them last night. You thought Houston had a huge opportunity, getting some shit straight and winning 2 in a row coming in. But they're not going to go anywhere if that offense doesn't find some kind of rhythm or do something, find something that they do well.
But the last thing before we get on to Detroit, and that was an incredible win last night, was like, Seattle, you turned the ball over 4 times. You still found a way to beat that football team.
Yes.
And put up the points you did, and at times they moved the ball well and handled, everything that comes with playing Houston's defense. And so, I think Seattle's got to feel really good about that. I mean, they didn't play their best football, but they found a way to kind of keep them at arm's length the whole damn game. And Houston is a disaster at this point. So, and I want to shout out BetMGM. This football season, BetMGM wants to give you another chance at first touchdown scorers. With BetMGM's second chance promotion, you'll get your stake back in cash if your first touchdown scorer scores second instead. Bet on any pro football player to score the first touchdown of the game. If you're right, you win. That's what it says in the ad read. If your player scores second, you get your stake back in cash. Be sure to take advantage of this offer, and if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code GREENLIGHT, and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. BetMGM, make it legendary. Let's get to Detroit, because I don't know if they do like a fucking blood oath in the Detroit secondary, but those guys, they play like, you know how you hear people say you play like your hair's on fire? They legitimately play like their hair's on fire. Those guys the word grit, you want to know what the word grit means? Turn that tape on. I was watching the All-22 with Waylon today because he wanted to see what happened to Mike Evans. I'm like, you sure? And you just watch and you're like, this is a coach's dream. Go through I got a list here of where these guys came from. Okay, they got Harper, who played 69 snaps last night. 2024 UDFA, Chargers, Raiders, August, he ends up a Lion. Obviously, we know who Arthur Millette is, but he's been like a journeyman. He's on the P squad. October 8th, they bring him up. Rock Yassin, we know who he is. He's a journeyman. Did a great job last night on Mike Evans. Millette made probably the play of the night, depending on how you feel about the call. It was an incredible play. And that dude, you want to know what that group personified in one play was last night? And I think it was Millette getting stiff-armed by Rachaad White. Back of his head hits the ground. He's up so fucking fast to get back in on that tackle. That's grit right there. Whiteside, July, P squad. He was a battle hawk. Hallett played 64 plays last night. 6th rounder, Jacksonville, P squad, and then August 2024. It's fucking crazy. And Kelvin Shepard, who tweeted last night, deserves. I said, I'm ready to hire this guy, dude. I've seen him at the podium. I'm watching him coach the defense. I'm watching the way he got this group ready. And of course, Detroit fans are like, shut the fuck up, please. But he is legitimately going to be a hot name soon because all eyes are on the secondary. It's a 6-point line. It almost stunk, Steve, to me, with the injuries on the back end. We'll get to why I think it stunk in a minute. But just an incredible, incredible performance by Detroit's defense. And the thing they could bank on, it was a real shame, tying the Russian coverage together, Steve. Aiden Hutchinson, 48% of the snaps he's chipped. So what does that do as a tight end? Take some of those guys out of the passing game.
Hell yeah.
One of the matchups that they really would have liked to have gotten to would have maybe been Otten on a couple of these guys. And if you got and they did get the ball to him, but every time you line up, you have to have somebody for Hutchinson. And another guy that they're happy to have back is Aleem McNeil because he was moving furniture around early and often in that fucking game. So just an incredible, incredible performance. And the craziest thing was this, Steve, and then I'm going to get off my soapbox about the secondary because they were fucking insane last night. It reminded me of the Minnesota game last year, where in the second game, they got Minnesota at home. Both teams are 14-2. Secondary for Detroit, I believe, is depleted. I don't know if they're depleted to the degree that
the whole defense was.
The whole defense was, as we well know. And Aaron Glenn gets these guys to play much the same way. Mm-hmm. And they come out and they're like, we're fucking playing man coverage all night. Now, they mixed in some zone and they put a little bit more zone in the second half. But I think in the first half of this game, they played over 50% man coverage on the year. They're 30%. So it was the same way when they played Minnesota last week, week 18, 51% man. Just ballsy. It really does encapsulate the Dan Campbell thing. It's kind of like going for it on fourth down, the way they don't flinch. It's the same thing as saying like, oh, you're expecting us to probably be less aggressive because we got all these backups out here. We got nothing to lose. And we feel like we can get after the offensive line that's a little bit banged up. That's another thing that was going on with Minnesota. Let's bring the pressure and speed up the rushing coverage equation. And they did. And honestly, Steve, by the time the Bucs got to it in the second half where I thought they had some concepts open up for them, Baker Mayfield was out to lunch. I don't know what he was doing last night. It almost made me think he was banged up, the way that line stunk and the way he was sailing balls.
Yeah, high on a ton of throws. But just going back to the totality of this win, Chris, I'm sitting there Sunday night with the Niners, right, in a kind of a similar situation. And I think we talked about last week the idea of Callahan getting fired in Tennessee. And, like, my wonder is, was it really worth it? You didn't even make it to 25 games. And the guy's highly thought of. But then I'm watching Sunday night and I see Robert Saleh. And I'm like, God damn, that guy could coach some defense. And you look at see how guys respond to him. Like, it didn't matter who was going in. They were going to go in and ball out and play like crazy. And then you see Dan Campbell, and, I got a chance to talk to David Shaw when they were in Baltimore for like a half hour, and he's the new guy in that locker room without, Aaron Glenn there, without Ben Johnson. And David, he couldn't get over the command and respect that was in the locker room, and it went through one guy, and it's Amon-Ra. And so that reflects on all the way down. So then you move Shepard, the defensive coordinator, and you just look at him last night, the way guys respond to his coaching. And I'm like, some guys are just made to be coordinators. And you got that prime time. Same thing. You got guys down. Who gives a shit? We know what we got going in, and we're going to win this game with these guys. And, I mean, to see Rocky Sin go off, come back in, get on the bike, cramp up in the middle of a route where he's trying to, I think it was that deep over route on Ibuka, like, knowing that there's no one else, like, he's got to get back in there. And you're like, man, you can't, I don't know what's wrong, but, like, you're going to hurt us if you go out there. And then the
Bucs ran the ball 11 times. These guys, like marathon runners out there.
And you see Whiteside come in and make the plays in the end zone. Like, and like I said, you were in those locker rooms. I was not, but I so much freaking respect for just rallying the guys and saying, you know what, for 60 minutes, we're going out there with this group and we're going to be damn good. And that building was awesome. They were all over that officiating crew early on, and it just
bullied fucking Hussey.
Oh,
They bullied Hussey. Hussey was like, on second thought.
Yeah. But to your point with D'Amico, when Dan refused to play with Otten, you see his guy. His guy's got the binder right there, and he turns around talking to him. And those guys are like ninjas. They just come in, and then they're gone. You don't even know who they are. You don't know their names. But Campbell had a plan. And I just look at him as being just an NFL lifer and knowing what all the buttons that need to be buttoned up to go into that game, knowing the story with Tampa, knowing you're down secondary guys, knowing the Bucs are getting their right receivers back, and saying, it's all right. We're going to be all right because we got my guys in the locker room, and my guys are prepared, and my staff is ready to go. Let's go have it. Because every interview the last 2 weeks at Kansas City, he's talking about how close we are. And then he's talking about last night, we just need to get a third down. Like, let us convert third down.
They're good. They're a really good team. They're an elite team in the NFC, whether you're winning or you're losing. I mean, like, I happen to think Kansas City's a fucking nightmare right now to play.
Oh boy, so, they're the best team.
And I thought they hung in there for most of that game, and this ended up being a thing where a couple things didn't go their way. They got some things to go their way tonight or last night, right? Which I always say, like, hey, if you don't like a call, just wait a week. You're going to get it in the way you want next week, right? And that's why I always say it's not personal. And I think you make your luck too. Millette made his luck on that play with K-Dot, and there were plays like, and I will say this about Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell is a football playing Jesse, dude. That sound like my damn dad saying that. Like, but Jack Campbell made that play on a running back. They split him out like twice in the game. They split him out early in the game, and he blows up a screen.
Yeah.
Right.
That was going in the red.
Yeah, that was good. And then late in the game, 3rd and 8, they take a shot at him because why not, right? He's a big fucking linebacker, right? He's my size, dude. And he's running at the pylon, breaking up a pass on a running back. And at the same time, you can use him as the penetrator in a 3-man game on 3rd down that cleans the fucking guard's clock, dude. He's just like a Swiss Army knife. So he kind of got lost in the shuffle last night talking about these DBs, but everybody was great. Obviously, the guys up front, Hutch, led by Hutch, were great. Talking about the offense, it's Jahmyr Gibbs, man. Like, Detroit was not in sync offensively last night, which is a credit to Todd Bowles, I thought, in that group, choking the run game out and saying, let me make Jared beat us. We're going to put pressure on him. And they did a pretty good job of that, I thought, throughout the entire night. They actually were the reason that the Bucs were even in the game, making stops in plus territory there. When you had the pick and the fumble and that sort of thing. Shepard, hold on to the fucking ball. Amik Robertson, another guy we didn't talk about, like he played his ass off as well. Although I'll say this, Tez Johnson was routing him up a little bit at the end of the game, but they survived. The offense runs through fucking Jahmyr Gibbs. That guy's incredible. And Ratledge had an up and down game in pass pro, but they ran behind his big ass and they ran behind Sewell, and it just becomes an issue with them. And it's the whole thing with the Lions. And I think it comes down to the way they played in the secondary last night. Most teams are not competing the way Dan Campbell makes you compete. And I'm talking about every day. It's kind of like that Pete Carroll thing when he was in his prime in Seattle. You know, it sounds funny. It sounds like something Elisa Salter says on the sideline, but it's much more than that. It's the discomfort of every day not being afraid to lose and having to face challenges like head on and competing. And it's just like teams are not, even in scheme, saying you're going to have to beat man coverage all fucking night. You might get us, but you're going to have to line up and do it again. Everything is a strain. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're straining every play to match their competitive edge, and that's why they're great in those spots.
Yeah, I think they learned a lot last year too, being down the manpower they were on the defensive side. I forgot what I put him for. It might have been both, but when Reed asked us for preseason awards, I had Jahmyr Gibbs as MVP or Offensive Player of the Year because of that, what he showed last night. I still take him over Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. I'll take Gibbs in a race with the ball. I mean, Winfield's not a slow dude, and the sideline view of him running by him is gross. And I guess that's what 22 miles an hour looks
22.
like.
Yeah, I'm rounding up to 3, dude.
So yeah, I just it's really cool, and I love me some Todd Bowles. The way he gets pressures with corners, like that one, I forgot, was it Tyke Smith, I think, came in, and I don't know how Goff held on to the ball, but Goff never sees him, and he's lined up on number 3 in the trips, and Goff never sees him, and he's there in an instant. And I mean, if Goff fumbles that ball, I don't know what happens. But Bowles, the way he does that, and then Gibbs, because I love him of the speed and everything, but that 4th down on the sideline where he reaches the ball over, where he just gets pressure.
God,
I mean, go back and look at that play. Look at what Vita Vea does in the middle. Thank God they didn't run there. He's 3 yards in the backfield with bodies all over. I forgot who the end was that had him. He gets out of that.
Nelson.
Yes. And then he lowers the shoulder, knowing he still has to get movement and keep the ball away to reach it, because he might not get there solely with his feet. And I just saw the power and strength, and obviously he has the speed. He's awesome. And I think the touches last night were 17 to 13 for carries. 17 carries, Montgomery 13 carries, Gibbs 3 grabs, Montgomery 2 grabs. So you're starting to see the overturn from when Montgomery got hurt last year. They saw what they had in Gibbs, knowing how dependable he could be, and man, he can fly. And I would imagine Waylon really liked is that Spider-Man, Superman flying over Spider-Man, the celebration? Is that what that was?
Oh, yeah, you like that. He liked that.
I figured he would really like that.
But here's the deal with the Bucs before we get out of here, because obviously I think very highly of that team. Baker did not play well enough in this game to win. I mean, like, it wasn't even close. And honestly, like, it started early. Shep runs a drag on 3rd down, and he's got the 1st down. He puts it behind him, but it wasn't just like the short stuff. He missed a lot high, and they missed some opportunities. Like, I thought early the man coverage really rattled him. And I actually thought like Rock Yassin was doing a great job on Mike Evans.
Awesome job.
Competing his ass off. But as the game went on, man, I thought, and I was worried coming out of this game that I was going to say, hey, listen, they might get guys back. And Mike Evans is going to be a long time, right? So, like, let's just take him out of the equation. And maybe the best thing for this group is to grow up without him.
Yep.
Right. Which they've had to do before. But now just like put it out of your mind. He's not coming back next week. Shepard, Tez, those guys, they got to play well. And I thought last week they played huge in San Francisco. And early in this game, with the Shepard fumble and Tez not being on the same page in multiple spots at one point, I don't know if it was Tez or Mike, but they're in the same spot. Somebody busted on the route. I just thought, I hope I don't come out of this game and say Grizzard's a fucking pinhead or something. But in the second half, I thought he countered really well.
They got the ball that starts at half. They went right down the field.
And they missed, and
and they needed it.
Baker just missed throws. Okay, so like you talk about, I saw more pivot routes. I saw more, like in and out, little quick, short area quickness routes from guys like Shepard, which I wanted to see in the first half. Didn't really see that. It felt like everything was developing down the field. And then, you had the screen for a touchdown Tez. That was a great call. Baker missed high like 2-3 times late in the game. But the thing that interested me was like on the Mike Evans play. I think it's 3, and I think the middle of field safety bit on the dig. And it's really probably a catch, but nobody wants to have that conversation. He's knocked out. I don't know if he controlled possession. I don't know what it was, but he's going to catch the football if he's not knocked out. So they like that look. Later in the game, they come back to it with a dig on the other side versus cover 3. You get Ibuka, who kind of freestyles on the route, or I don't know how they had that drawn up. I couldn't tell, and I wonder what you guys think. And Baker missed this throw either way because Amik Robertson caught up. But, like, was Ibuka supposed to stack him and work away from the safety? Was that just great safety play? Or was Baker just late? Because even if Baker was on time on that, it would have had to been a hell of a fucking throw to beat the safety over there. And I could tell they wanted to come back to that, and they did. They just 0 for 2 on that deal.
It was definitely something to get the safety, and I thought he just made it like, hey, you fooled me once, you're not going to get me twice. But the accuracy was the issue. And you brought up those other third downs. I mean, those were big throws, and going back to he just wasn't right. Tampa needs to figure out the run game also. Like I know you're down Bucky, but you've thrown the ball 50 times, and would Rashad go 10 for 38, Tucker 1 for 4. It's just that's not going to be good enough, especially against the Lions. When you're up against it on the other side of the ball. So
point was they came back to it, and Baker missed the layup on the thing.
Yeah.
But the safety made it a little bit harder on him. The first one, the reason they had that is because he bit on the underneath.
Exactly.
And everything. So my point is the offensive coordinator, Josh Grizzard, however you want to say his name.
Grizz.
People can't decide how to say Scattaboo. People haven't decided. Okay. Maybe I'm just the only one. But I thought he came out in the second half and called a good football game. They just couldn't make the throw. So, like, for the Bucs, what do they need to do? You mentioned it, run the football. But the young receivers have to grow the fuck up. And I don't say that like I'm pissed off at him. I thought, again, Tez Johnson played in the second half. You look at that tape, like, he's open some. And he's going to be a guy for them. Yeah. Like, Shepard certainly got his functionality and will continue to, but I think Tez Johnson's got to turn into like a dude for them.
Yeah, and I wonder if it didn't look great when where did he play at Seattle? Godwin, he would be a welcoming return if they could get him figured out.
God, this team, it's one of those teams, and every team has injuries right now, obviously, as evidence the team would just beat them, but they haven't had the full deck and the that's the strength of their team, and they haven't had the full deck all year. So we'll see if they can get it together. Hey, the last one was this. I was so stoned by the end of that fucking Texans game. It's 2 a.m. I just want to go to bed, and I'm hanging on because Chase Long, had put a little something, on the Texans +4. And, because I was like, when you're not doing great, which I haven't been the past couple of days, you start thinking like, you look at a line and you're like, Seattle wins this easy. What am I missing? And then the Texans. So at the end of the game, fucking after all that clock mismanagement, do you remember how that game ended? Does anybody remember how that game ended at the end of the night? Tim Settle, after all that bullshit, you're going to get the ball back. Don't deny me my Hail Mary, man. Don't deny me my chance at the cover on some crazy bad beat steal that would have been on Midnight Sports Center. Tim Settle, my hokey buddy, what are you doing, dog? They don't let you do that in the NFL anymore. You can't JOP. You can't jump on the pile. Most people were asleep. I wasn't. That was the most fucked up moment of the whole night. And there was a lot of fucked up shit.
Al-Shaair, it's just him. But I'm watching that, and I'm like,
dog. It just
no. I'm thinking as a defensive player would have hit on a quarterback. Like who was it? The guy from Notre Dame, the D tackle that tried it on Mahomes. He got thrown out of the game. But I'm like, you have him wrapped up. If you're a defensive guy, you're taking that hit on a quarterback. But you also have a long history.
I don't think you can take the hit on the quarterback, but if you get him under his hamstring and you go to like dump him and you're on the white, like, to me, it's icing on the cake that you're Azeez Al-Shaair. But it's a like, to me, that was a really short-sighted penalty. I'm trying to use really nice words because I love the guy, but like, come on, man, fuck. That's the way the game changes for the worse for the whole night for Houston. Because you got him kicking a field goal, you're down 10-0.
One of the most impressive things too, I think I tweeted it, but Smith-Njigba at 6 foot to get up and dunk that ball that fast on the goalpost. He's 6 foot. He made that look.
That was crazy.
So easy. I was like, man, that's explosiveness.
Right? No, he's a beast. He's a beast. No more doubleheaders, Steve.
I know. I was going to give the people the news on the way up for like forever, as long as we have them. No more next year too. Yeah,
no
that's
way.
Part of the new agreement. So, you don't have to stay up till 1:30.
All right, Steve. Appreciate your time, brother.
5-0.
Oh God, I know. Congratulations. Fuck me, dude.
Yeah, the other guy's silent. I haven't heard from him.
Well,
I can't wait. We hemmed and hawed about Giants Broncos under.
hilarious, bro. Hilarious. It's not funny though. I loved the I loved the Cleveland Miami pick and the Rams pick, and he fucking got both of them.
Yeah. No, the Cleveland
Because my dumbass led with the Chargers. What do you think happens Thursday night?
Ugh.
That's a shit show, dude.
It sounds like Alt's going to play.
And that would be a big lift.
Yeah, everybody says same old Chargers, same old Chargers. I don't care who you lose both your tackles. I mean, come on.
My concern is their defense more than if they were healthy offensively. If they get a couple guys back up front,
but you just see it with Herbert. He's skittish, and he's going back to those bad habits again.
Yeah, he it's too much press, and that's what the Colts make you do when they fucking march down the field 2 times in a row. You got no answer.
What's that line?
3.5 at this point, I believe.
I'd take the Chargers. I don't like what
it's moving that way. It's moving that way.
I don't like what I've seen from the Vikings.
I don't either.
Don't.
Mainly from Carson Wentz, because they were 1 of 6 in the red zone. Like, they win that game if they're in the red zone.
Yep.
All right. We could talk all night, Steve.
Yeah.
Love you. I'll see you.
All right.